Need for Speed is a huge racing series that all started in 1994. Its peak was in the early 2000s when EA's Black Box released their first Need for Speed game, Hot Pursuit 2. It was an instant classic and was very well received. They then went on to develop the Underground series games. This included Underground 1 and 2, Most Wanted, and of course, Carbon. It was after Carbon that the Underground fans started to lose interest in the series as it moved on to more serious on-track racing with Pro Street. While it was well received, Black Box quickly returned to the Underground genre with Undercover. While it might have had a solid story, the gameplay was buggy, the AI was awful, and it wasn't a very good comeback. It looked like the Need for Speed series was going downhill. That was the last Need for Speed game created by Black Box before they were kicked from the Need for Speed project, and Criterion Games and later Ghost Games took care. They were killed off in 2013, which left Carbon to be the last good NFS game to many fans. What makes Carbon so special is that not only is its story a mystery, but the development process in and of itself is a mystery. When hardcore fans researched more into the game, they found tons of stuff that was never found or talked about. Many speculate that they were working on something completely different, but scrapped it all and restarted. It's actually kinda sad that Carbon might only be a third of what Black Box wanted it to be. It's a similar story to Halo 2. Bungie had to scrap the entire thing and start over again, leaving it to be unpolished and unfinished, albeit selling it amazingly. Looking at the game files and beta screenshots, the game looked much more different than it is today. The map had 4 main regions, Kempton, Fortuna, Downtown, and Silverton, but in a completely different layout. It was also based in San Juan instead of Palmet City. Even when they did move to Palmet City though, there is evidence of a crew named Les Samurai that has its logo plastered all over the city except for downtown, but it is never seen or mentioned in the game. There are just so many things that we'll never know about it. Carbon was also the first game to have a main storyline. While Underground 2 and Most Wanted had a bit of story here and there, it wasn't very important to the game. Carbon also had a more mysterious theme to it. At the start, there is a race that the protagonist takes part in. At the end, the police take down Kenji's, Angie's, and Wolf's cars using EMP rounds. You somehow get away with what was supposed to be the money. The player runs off to Rockport City, where the events of Need for Speed Most Wanted take place. At the end of Most Wanted, the player escapes Rockport, then comes back to Palmet City from the East Canyon, specifically Lookout Point. The main antagonist from Most Wanted, Sergeant Cross, he hunts you down. Darius and Nikki quickly find you, and Nikki shows you how to race on the streets of Palmet. You also meet Neville, who is your first wingman or crew member. In order to take over Palmet, you now have to race Kenji, Angie, and Wolf, as they are crew bosses. As you take over territory from your rivals, some of their crew members will quit and come to you and be part of your crew. These crew members all have a part of the story. The bags were switched at the end of the race, the guy who let you through was a cop, but you still have to piece the mystery together. The innovation of Carbon is another big reason as to why it's so special. It introduced so many things to the Need for Speed games that would have probably stayed around up until today if Black Box was still developing Need for Speed games. Things like crews and crew members, their abilities, auto-sculpt, canyons, taking over territory, a wider selection of cars, different online modes, and the list goes on. Imagine what Need for Speed would be today if it weren't for Black Box. Rather, imagine what Need for Speed would be today if Black Box was still around. And to think it's been 10 years.